Welcome to Longevity Industries' presentation of the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I am your host, Dean Phillips, and I have with me today Mr. Scott Donahy, who is the VP of Sales and Marketing from Megafab, which represents Piranha Whitney Bertsch. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks, Dean. Great to be here.
It's great to have you, sir. So right off the bat, what technologies do you see changing over the next 5 years? What new things you see happening?
Yeah, I think there's a big need right now for automation in our industry, and anything really to remove labor and man hours out of processes. I feel like it's going to continue to be a big deal over the next 5 years. So I think that's going to be where we're seeing everybody driving to. Just at the most recent FabTech convention we were at, everybody was asking, what is that next thing? How easy is that control to use? It's one of the driving questions behind about every one of our product lines.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was talking to a couple other people in the fabrication side of the business. So I asked them about what some of the technology issues were, and they said it isn't about making the machines faster. It's about handling the material in a better way, whether it's automating that process or figuring out a way to get the part in and out faster, turning it, rotating it. That's what they were, and I think in general agree with you completely that automating is going to be the big thing that is needed in order to improve our processes in the U.S. and probably worldwide.
Yeah, we're hearing that every day. We started out with an iron worker, which is, the people in the industry, they don't think of an iron worker as any sort of automation. But what we're finding is guys that have started up little shops, they've gotten oxy-fuel torch, they've got a drill press, they may have a saw, jumping into an iron worker is a big deal to that guy.
Sure.
And, that automates that process. And then, and that's where Piranha started was with iron workers. And since we've gotten into other pieces of equipment, bending rolls, press brakes, shears, lasers, combination machines, bending rolls, all of those, has driven different levels of automation for each one of those. So, and as that technology gets better, gets cheaper, gets easier for the end user to use, we're seeing that first-time laser buyer being our first-time ironworker buyer 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's been a real interesting evolution there.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think sometimes people overlook the aspect of simple gauging is a level of automation that you get to where, hey, I need to make 20 of these and I want them to all be the same. So I want to put a gauge on an iron worker or on a single end punch.
Right. And, there's been guys that go after, third-party vendors for, more even automation gauging that we offer directly from the factory here, but even the manual gauging aspect of it for back gauges and quick sets for the punch in, just to be able to repeat those processes with far more accuracy than they could ever do, just lining by eye. So it's been a big deal, because the labor that's out there, and there's not new kids getting into the industry, so they're looking for a very simple way to maintain these processes.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, we have to do more to try and attract the brightest talent too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's starting, you're seeing guys, some pretty high profile figures, pushing the trades more than it has been since I was in school. So
right.
It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Scott, tell our audience a little bit about what attracted you to the industry and how did you get involved?
Man, it was kind of amazing. It was not a plan at the beginning, to be quite honest. I was so I've been long story short, I've been with Piranha it'll be 30 years in July. So I started actually on the operations side on the shop floor, putting together equipment, and found myself, really digging processes and documenting those processes and finding better ways to do things. So I didn't last long in the shop, ran up into the customer service aspect, did customer service and technical service, new product development, new product launches, got into press brakes and shears and bending rolls, and did some field service on those, did control training and operator training for those lines, and did a little stint in trafficking, and just kind of worked my way through the business, and then got into the sales aspect, and now the VP of Sales and Marketing for the whole Piranha Group, and it's been quite a ride.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
When you look back on your career, I'm sure that there was something that you saw happen. And is there something you would do for somebody that you were mentoring today to say, here's why, here's what this did to change my life and my course in manufacturing? What kinds of things, would you say to somebody today about why this is a great industry to be in?
Man, I tell you what, it feels like there's no limit, because manufacturing in general is something that we got to embrace and we got to keep doing. So even the guys getting in, shop floor level manufacturing, understand the process and really dig in. And it's more than just, doing the job order that's put in front of you, but kind of think about how that's done and why it's done that way. And, there are huge opportunities out there because those guys can break off. They can start on their own. They can be, their own entrepreneur and start their own business. And there's just a lot of different avenues you can go into, and just kind of eyes wide open. Mm-hmm. Look what's out there and kind of embrace it. So
yeah,
it's yours for the taking.
I think those are great words for people to kind of take to heart. If you want to find a new opportunity, or if you think that you enjoy working with your hands or you like doing things, people look at additive manufacturing and look at those areas, but welding was you go back, that was one of the earliest forms of additive,
Absolutely.
And
and that's a very interesting technology that's coming up. Mm-hmm. We're not specifically into it, but that additive manufacturing, it wasn't long ago that it was the cool tool that people could see in their local library. Yeah. A little 3D little flatbed system there that they could kind of tinker with. And now, these things are scaling up, and they're laying concrete and building houses, and it's amazing what's being done with that. So fantastic.
Yeah. It is an amazing. I consider it an additive. It is additive process and an additive manufacturing, but it is also, as far as your shop goes, it's something else to think about. It's an ancillary tool that can improve other processes that you're already doing.
And the prototyping alone is huge.
Yeah.
We were talking to a company just the other day about they're making full-blown rockets with a 3D additive technology, and it was amazing to me how far it's gone so fast.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's in the same ways as you think about fabrication being the predecessor to stamping in many ways, is that you're not going to hard tool right away because you may not have the volume in a certain product and things like that. Same is true in, the way you do things maybe in molding or in casting with additive. Well, I can build a tool through an additive process and see if it's going to work, prove out, kind of do a proof of concept with that can help you decide, I do want to turn around and and now go full scale. And maybe I do invest in a press brake or iron worker or any of those types of processes, or, going further into it with doing things in a stamping operation.
Yeah. Yeah. Those guys getting into press brakes, it's really interesting sitting there at a trade show and you've got a press brake, you've got this, 30,000 pound piece of equipment standing behind you. And they're like, yeah. It goes up and down. Talk to me about the control.
Yes.
How easy is it to program? And because I need anybody in the shop to be able to run this thing. So the machine itself is almost second fiddle.
Right.
It's all about the control. It's all about the gauging. It's how quick and easy can I get a guy up to speed that I've just a new hire and make them proficient with that machine. So important.
Yeah. And it's interesting, when you look at that, how much that has changed is, I'll show you another place that it's very true is in robotics. Nowadays, robots, you used to have a guy in your shop that knew how to program it, and they probably needed to have a PLC that could connect up to it, and they had to have a way to program the range of motion, what it was going to do, how fast it was going to ramp up, ramp down. Now, most of that is fairly kind of drag and drop in a lot of these controls to make them easier, especially on the cobot side, to make it user friendly. Do you see the same kinds of things happening on the press brake side?
Yeah, on the press brake side, the press brake controls used to be, back in the day, it was depth control. I mean, you were programming in a depth of a bend, mm-hmm. and then an actual position. And now, with everything gone to more on-screen drawing the actual part on screen and letting it interpolate all the bend radiuses and all the flange length modifications that happen with that level of bend, with that piece of tooling. All that's kind of thrown into the control now. And when you select that punch, you select that die and how long you want that flange length to be, it kind of calculates all that for you. So it's definitely made it easier. And then you've got the whole offline program. So you can even get the guy offline's programming all that. Your operator's just loading up that program and hit and go.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I would imagine that from an operator standpoint, that makes it easier for them to get up to speed if they don't have to sit down and do a whole bunch of the calculations.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've got it to the point where people are saving tools in these controls as green punch, red die. And I mean, it's almost to the point where I could run the thing. And so they're literally pulling the green punch and the red die off the rack, putting it in the machine, and they're bending apart. It's amazing.
Yeah. It reminds me of, what was the clothing company that had what was it, Garanamals?
Garanimals, right.
That shirt doesn't go with those pants. That's not a...
Tiger and tiger, baby.
That's right.
Don't go tiger lion on me.
Oh, no, because that's going to end badly. It's going to end badly for you.
Leave that to the Oshkosh kids.
That's right. We need to make our business more Garanimal friendly. That's what we should call it.
Hold on, I'm taking notes.
There you go.
Okay.
Are you going to put that in for your, next programming change? All right, we need to have the Garanimal change.
It's going straight in the office suggestion box.
All right, I agree. When you talk about controls, what about on the other side of the business, like the laser punch side?
Yeah, so we've got our combination punch plasma machine. We've got our laser machine. So that's kind of on the other end of our spectrum of technology that we've got. But, it's very similar. People are looking at the control on that laser. And you can imagine the draw that we're getting on those lasers today. There used to be a $500,000 barrier of entry to get into a laser. And now when you're speaking about entry-level 5x10 fiber lasers at $200,000, or cheaper. I mean, now you've got ironworker guys jumping into a laser market, and it's been really interesting. So that's where the control and everything is having it very intuitive, like the SIPCUT control that's on our lasers is very user friendly for the customer. And once again, they can almost like the press brake, draw that part right on screen, nest it, and start burning parts immediately. So it's been fantastic. The world of control and how intuitive things are going. It's not all G and M code anymore. It's
right.
It's very intuitive processes for these guys that takes the intimidation factor way out of it.
Right. Do you see more people going to the 3D CAD modeling and then pulling in prints that way?
You can do it that way, and for sure. And we see that in bigger systems, especially if they're trying to build out a process of a part that goes from laser to press brake. Mm-hmm. Where you're going from a flat pattern here, going to bending operation. And, but yeah, definitely being able to convert out of some 3D IGES file and convert back to a DXF, upload into the laser and send that same program over to a press brake through its software and kind of going from process to process that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas that I've seen and has been a more significant interest from businesses to where they're actually making the decision and actually starting down the road of the process of, hey, we need our machines to talk to one another. We need them to, I need to have a file that I have in 3D to be able to just pull that in so that we can communicate what we want to achieve in the machine itself without having to manually go through and do it, especially because with the shortage of people, the system itself has to be smarter too, and semi-dumbed down if you want to, but I think it's more of a language issue than it is smart or not smart.
Yeah, skill. Yeah, I agree. And that's where everything's going, because everything's, starting to be designed in that 3D. It's been years and years that people have been doing that. And the easiest way to get from the engineer's head to screen to machine is definitely going to be the way people are leaning. So
I
agree.
Yeah, what do you see as far as technology? I liked your point about how more accessible things are financially, because you think that $200,000 flatbed fully enclosed fiber laser deal, that guy that's done general fab and welding, it doesn't take many long jobs to really get some return on that investment. So we are seeing guys into the sign guys, a lot of guys that run the flea market circuit with their live, laugh, love signs that they're cutting out, going after a laser machine today. And it's crazy. Those people started out with the plasma table years ago, and they want a little less cleanup, a little less labor involved in that. And now this technology of a fiber laser is within reach of these guys, and they're going for it. And we had one guy come back and he did all signs, and he ended up with 3 lasers in his shop. So amazing that people are jumping in now. And it's not only signs. I mean, it's off-road equipment, it's truck parts, it's all kinds of stuff that you'd think this guy would never, be a buyer for a big platform fiber laser machine. But man, they're doing it, and they're finding the processes are so simple, and it eliminates so much of the cleanup and so much of the secondary process work that they're just flying with it and loving it. That's really amazing. I've worked on the manufacturing on the smart side too, and that's the cost of entry has been so different. You know, think about how much a drone cost years and years ago.
Yeah.
But now that same technology that flies those drones, now maybe not as sophisticated, but that actually makes them fly, is the same technology you have in a $140 drone. So millions of dollars of investment now have been transferred to a $100 drone.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think that that's carried over, that same technology now is being accessible in forming and fabricating, where people are like, yeah, if I can get into this for a lower cost point, it is worth it for me because of, number one, labor, number two, ease of programming. And what other things do you think that that customers today are looking for? Obviously, cost is always right at the top. That's always
cost is always there.
That's right. And ease of use, I know, is another area that people look at. What other things do you think are important to forming and fabricating because of technology and where we're going in 5 years? Are there other things that they're looking to achieve out of their controls?
You know, it's other than serviceability is always a big deal too.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are getting into these products, these controls that, you know, a lot of our laser, a lot of our plasma buyers they're first time CNC buyers in general. You know, they don't have a mill, they don't have anything else in their shop, and they're jumping in, they're buying their first plasma table, but it's got a CNC control on it. So, you know, as easy as we can make that, and however much they're looking for information, and that's kind of true all the way through from the sales side through the operating of these machines. And I think once they find a company, a source, a business to provide them the information they're looking for, they really stop looking. And it's really important. So it's important through the sales side, but even after the fact, you know, it's developing these video libraries, and they want to be able to learn how to do that next thing on the control by pulling the phone out of their pocket and pulling up YouTube and looking at a video, and okay, now I know how to interpolate this. I know how to change my lead in. I know how to change my acting deck and get this corner, you know, cutting better. And, you know, that's what's important to these guys, especially at the entry level of this is, you know, how to self-educate. And to do that, our data, our information, our technology, and how we share that with people has got to get better and better and better every year.
That's one of those areas that I think there's a generational difference. You know, people my age, you know, in our 50s have a different perspective of, hey, if I wanted to go and learn something, I would take a class, or I would look at some type of something like an educational system from an SME, a PMA, those types of groups to learn something. But the younger generation, they look at their phone and they're like, okay, how do I do this? Well, let's look at YouTube. What can I find?
Exactly. It is instant gratification. I mean, they are going to buy the power steering pump for their car. They're buying it. They're sitting in the power steering pumps, teetering on the edge of the grill. They got their hood open, and okay, let's open up YouTube and figure out how to put this thing on. And that's kind of where today's generation is. But it really speaks to the accessibility of that data. That information is out there.
Good point.
And it's ready to eat. It's hot and ready to serve. So I think the younger kids today are understand that as good as anybody, and they know where to go to get it. So it really kind of moves back on the manufacturers to, man, if you can be the one to serve it to them, you know, you're going to be in a beneficial spot.
Right. And I think that's, if you're a company that embraces use of technology, use of your mobile devices, that puts you in a better position when you're hiring your workforce, that if you're the type of company where you're going to say, look, I don't want you using your devices on the floor, well, that's how they learn and do things. Mm-hmm. So if you're limiting them in that way, I feel like that puts you behind the eight ball on whether that person is going to stay and be part of that company long term. Do you see a shift in workforce? So this technology that we have both in the controls, but also in using mobile devices for solving problems. Do you see that changing?
Absolutely. In the last year or two, we started actually putting QR codes on even our ironworker level machines, mm-hmm. where when that operator scans that QR code with his cell phone there, it pulls up the installation manual, the parts list, linked to all of the videos about the use of that machine. And, it's not a manual that's all grease covered, pages torn and unreadable anymore. And, where that manual go, it's on the purchasing guy's desk, quarter of a mile away from here. It's moved that to that device that the guy's got in his hand. So I think that's been, very helpful to people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see where more technology is going to help us to jump that gap that we're losing. And what I mean by that is when you think about that maintenance guy who knew how to work on the machine and he knew where the manual was, he knew what drawer to go find it in, he knew where certain things were. We have to be able to get to that point. And maybe even the question isn't just how do I teach that person something, but how do I even skip that step? Why do they need to learn it at all? Why can't they just self-diagnose the problem, so that I don't have to have somebody to be able to troubleshoot it? It should be able to troubleshoot itself. Do you feel that there's a step there that we can get to?
There's the communication, the storage of error messages and things of that nature. We're connecting into controls now, and you've got visibility remotely for sure. To look and see, hey, I'm expecting that valve to fire when this contact's being closed and it's not firing, and so you need to change this direction valve. But we're one step away from that being the closed loop at the machine itself.
Yes.
And it just tells you, nope, that coil on that valve is not firing when I'm expecting it. So that does not feel far-fetched to me at all. That is out there.
Yeah. I like that term because that to me is one of those areas is closing the loop on the local level. When you can close the loop at the local level, that is what takes it from having to have a higher level of experience to making it simple for an operator.
Yeah, I agree.
What about on the mechanical side of things? What kinds of things are you guys looking at over at Piranha to how do I examine and test things that are on the mechanical side, like things like sensors and stuff like that?
It's very similar kind of troubleshooting as you would in the hydraulic or electrical side. Typically, though, on the mechanical side, it's a broke, not broke type scenario, right. Mechanically. But, you're measuring things, when you're talking about blade gap and things that are, spreading out, not as tight as they used to be. From the mechanical side of things, that's really where you're at, where, a lot of that is very visual.
Yeah. We're just about out of time here. Do you, how can people get in touch with you, Scott?
Yeah, you can always call into Piranha anytime, 800-338-5471, or, reach us on our website. We've got all kinds of different ways a ton of information on our website too. Feel free, email me directly, SR Donahy, DONAHY, at piranhafab.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott, for being here today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Dean.
Everybody, make it a great day.
All right. Take care.